Thank you for tuning into our podcast. We are coming to you from South Hadley, Massachusetts. I'm your host, Carrie, and joining me is Holyoke's very own local historian and creator of the historical tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Cohen. He offers both public and private tours, as well as presentations of the local canal systems, reservoirs, cemeteries, and churches, as well as various parks and streets in Holyoke, South Hadley, and Chicopee, Mass. Now you actually lead these tours and give these presentations yourself, is that correct?
That's correct, and this is one of the High Street ones.
So today we'll be talking about the YMCA and YWCA on High Street. So tell us of the old YMCA building.
Alright, like you might know, volleyball was invented in Holyoke by William Morgan in 1895. And Holyoke is very proud of that fact. So we're going to talk about that old building. We're going to talk about the YWCA, the women's equivalent 2 buildings away from it. We're going to talk about the birth of volleyball. And we're also going to talk about what happened to this YMCA. It's not there. It's one of the few buildings on High Street within the historic district of the 5 blocks that's gone. Almost all the rest are there, some slightly modified, but this one's all gone. So what happened to it? Well, this YMCA building, if you want to see pictures of it, go to my website, go to the High Street Tour, and you're at the second phase of 10 phases of that tour, and you can read about this YMCA. And it didn't start in that first building, which is gone. It started 2 blocks down where the YWCA ended up going in. And so it started in a very gorgeous little old building. And this building had been made in 1884 by Louis Regali, who also owned a very gorgeous building to its immediate north. So he had 2 buildings going. He was a confectioner. And remember, he made it in 1884. In 1889, the YMCA had moved in here. That building still exists. So the first home of the YMCA in Holyoke still exists. The third home still exists and still used. The second one is gone, but the second one was where volleyball was invented. Terrible, right? The 2 that it wasn't invented at are still there. All right, in 1893, they had moved into the one where they invented volleyball. That was right at the corner of Appleton Street and High Street at its northwest corner. All right, and at that point, 2 years later, in 1895, that building, William Morgan, invented volleyball, has a substitute for basketball, which is very athletic and very physically demanded. And so they came up with an idea to make a simpler game. Now, it didn't stay simple. It might have started simple, but the rules got more drastic, and the athleticism went higher, and the amount of physical effort got very high. Basketball became an Olympic sport because it was so athletic. Now, when he invented this game, he invented it on the second floor, and beautiful images still exist of that second floor. The images are absolutely gorgeous to see. It was a beautiful space, and you can actually see how the game would have been structured in the space. Right, basketball had been invented only a mere 4 years earlier in Springfield. And William Morgan did know James Naismith, who had invented basketball. All right, but sadly the building's not there anymore, and we'll talk about that. We also talk about the YWCA.
So tell us about the old YWCA building.
All right, so the YWCA came into the Regali's southernmost of 2 buildings. And the YWCA stayed there for a fairly long time, from 1893 to 1910. Right, and then they moved onwards. So the start of the YMCA and the YWCA was in the same location. It's just the YMCA had moved onwards. The YMCA is now at near Carlson Street. It's very close to the old Peck School, and that one is probably a very stable site. Okay, now, the building of the first YMCA and YWCA is still there, so you can visit the outside. Someone tried to paint the brick white, and that never succeeds. Don't try to paint brick and hope that it stays there. The elements will take that white paint off, and it won't look good. It should really now, at this point, be renovated back. I wish it were, since it's the home of these two institutions.
And so quickly before we continue with the rest of our interview, just to fill our listeners in, if you want to find out more information or sign up for any of his various tours, you can check out his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And there he has both videos of the various sites stop selling each tour, and also past and present photos of the historical sites throughout as well. And if you are interested in setting up a private tour, you can email him directly at bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And they are perfect for fun and educational outdoor activities for the whole family, or for your group parties, especially those special occasions and get-togethers. And they're also good just for getting outdoors for the day. So getting back to our interview, tell us of the birth of volleyball.
All right, when he hired William Morgan, he was a very ambitious person. He was put in the head of the athletic program in this YMCA, and he came up with the idea of making that simpler game. It was called minuets, I believe, in the beginning. And since that 1895 invention, it expanded. It might be an okay game on a national level, but on the international level, it's the second most highly played game in the world, only behind soccer. And that is incredible. So the second most highly played game in the world was invented in Holyoke. There is a Volleyball Hall of Fame in Holyoke. It's at Holyoke Heritage State Park. It's along its northeastern edge. It's in the same building as the Children's Museum. And there they honor, on average, about 3 to 4 different athletes every year. It's existed for about now 45 years, and so a lot of people have been honored there. It was only a National Volleyball Hall of Fame for the first 15 years, so then it became an international, and it's added a lot of international names since that time. And of course, it deserves this great honor. Now, there is a William Morgan School in Holyoke. It might be misnamed. It was supposed to be the Morgan School, named after a woman teacher named Morgan, and it might have been misnamed to William Morgan in recent years. So keep that in mind. I'll have more of that later this year. And so volleyball's birth is here, and Holyoke is very proud of that. So proud of it that in the year 2023, when they celebrated their 150th anniversary, one of their goals that year, which was fulfilled, was that they were going to have a sealed vault where they're going to put documents inside of it, pictures inside of it, mementos inside of it, and this would be sealed up and with a message above it and on the edge of it that you're going to keep it sealed up for 50 years, and on April 7th of the year 2073, you can open it. The outside is easy to open with a special wrench, but the inside will have on the first level a letter from the mayor and a special key to open the 2 sealed vaults below it. And those are filled up. They're about the size of 1 foot high, about 1.5 feet wide, and about 2.5 feet long. And there's 2 of them. So they have a lot of mementos inside of it, and I was proud to be a part of that time capsule this year.
And what has become of the YMCA?
All right, like I told you, it caught on fire and it's gone. The same with the basketball invention place. But this one, on December 18th, 1943, the building where volleyball was invented had burned to the ground. Very sad. It occurred during World War II. Who knows? Maybe there was a lack of firemen because they were off fighting World War II. Who knows? In 1950, 7 years later, a new building for the YMCA was opened on Beach Street. on the corner of Appleton Street. So it's only moved 5 city blocks inwards towards the west. It's still proud of its former heritage as being the birthplace of volleyball, and it's still a very, very active site. Where that building did exist, a new building was put in its place. It's one of only 2 buildings or 3 buildings that were taken down and not replaced with a nice building. It's a kind of ugly looking store. So sadly, it's gone. The plaque that was on the sidewalk to honor it is also gone. I don't know where it went, but it's still honored around Holyoke by the museum, by the YMCA that's still in place, and by signs all over the place, and now by a time capsule.
So thank you, Robert, for educating us on your tours, and we want to thank our listeners again for tuning in. And you can tune into a large selection of our other podcasts and much more at his website at holyokecanaltour.org. And again, you can email him for private tours or to inquire about anything else at his email. That's bobcat4214, capital B, at yahoo.com. And be sure to check out his upcoming 2024 season tours and more as they become available. Thank you for tuning in. Hey everyone, welcome to our video series, Canal Days, and thanks for joining us for today's episode of the YMCA, now known as the Y, of Holyoke, Massachusetts. I am your host, Carrie, here with my co-host, local historian, and founder of Historical Tours of Greater Holyoke, Robert Comoon. As your personal tour guide, Robert will lead you through some of the most iconic sites and their legends of historic significance throughout New England's preeminent and pivotal state of Massachusetts. With his expert insights, every monument and memorial story comes to life. Afterwards, don't forget to check out his website, holyokecanaltour.org, to access the full Canal Days video and podcast series. Also, check out his free in-person public tours he offers throughout Western Mass and the 2025 schedule for these special events. You can also book personalized private tours for groups of all sizes, tailored to your interests. To discover all that and much more, remember to log on to holyokecanaltour.org. So, Robert, name some of the significant impacts the YMCA has had on the community of Holyoke.
Well, even wider than Holyoke, one of the biggest significant impacts is that volleyball was invented in Holyoke, and not at this location, but rather at the High Street location, and that impacted the whole world because it spread across the whole world, the whole nation, and the Volleyball Hall of Fame is in Holyoke nowadays. But in general, all the social activity, athletic activities have been conducive to keeping the community unified. Has a nice swimming pool inside there, and it's always been a great place to come either socialize or get some really good exercise.
And review the former locations the Y has been prior to its current spot.
It was on 2 different locations of High Street and right at the corner of Appleton. In both locations were on the same side of the street, very near that corner, only two buildings away from each other. It started in the very top of Candy Maker's place that he had the top floor available for YMCA activities. And then they moved to get their own place right onto the northwest corner of High and Appleton Streets. And there they had a grand place going. That was from about 1886 until they had a fire, I think it was in the 1930s. And they weren't able to rebuild right away. They had to wait a little bit, and they ended up coming up here instead of staying down there. But volleyball was invented in that last location. And the inside gymnasium area has a beautiful photograph, and I've been able to link it to my webpage. So the YMCA is... And here's one of the many murals of Holyoke on the side of it here. And we're going to walk around counterclockwise today and see what they have. We're now on Pine Street, going towards Suffolk Street. And his backside has a program called Hubs. And what they do here is they teach young people how to repair their own bicycles, and also how to ride the bicycle safely. And its building also has low-cost bicycles for people to buy, right? And it's called Hubs because that means Holyoke Urban Bicycle Shop. Okay, so on Beach Street they have the young people's area, playground sets for very small children in the back, and then the larger children up here. And they also have a area in the back there for a garden if they want to put it in. Okay, and there used to be a Victorian home right here. They've put in another building since then. So when the YMCA comes to this location, there was one extra building, and they took that building over and used it for a while. And now this is the YMCA's Little Parent Youth Center. Okay, so finally we come to the final side. And the front is on Appleton Street. And here you see a sign, YMCA, Young Men's Christian Association. And I told you this was in two different locations, but each location was very close to Appleton Street, but it moved 4 city blocks upwards. Youth development, healthy living, social responsibility. And the pool is in this back middle section. And they have some administration sections out the side, and then daycare, so forth. And what they did about 10 years ago, they bought out the corner of Pine and Appleton, and they took the home down and they changed it into a parking lot, plus a daycare beyond it. Okay, now we're back on Pine Street. And this location is different from the others because they have the swim pool, of course. And they also moved uptown as the population of Holyoke was changing upwards. Okay, and this side here has the swimming pool. You can tell by the peculiar windows here. And they also have the cornerstone, which is right over here. It says 1949. All right, thank you.